Is it gonna work? No way. Is it gonna? Hold on. I need to do this for a second. Do not disturb, please. No way. Ah, it's so cool. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna ping. I'm gonna ping some guys here. And then. Ha! That was great. Oh my god. I am committing to a bit here. Okay, so this is hilarious, actually. I can't believe I got that to work. Holy shit. Okay. Bro is real. I am real. I'm doing it. Hi. I got it to work. Effort I put into committing to a bit in my life. So, I am real. Pure vanilla cookie is real. I know, right? So, I don't even know what I'm gonna do. I was just like, oh, I found my old YouTube channel. There's a lot of random live streams. Let's make a bit like after like a decade or something, just leaves for a decade, comes back, doesn't elaborate, and then leaves again. So yeah, I'm real. The lizard government. Well, I definitely could do that. So the lizard government is the Fool King and him locking the 5 great cookies away in the silver tree. You know, you know, I have me. So I'm me. This is me. The Soul Jam's up there though. Fun fact, actually, I'm shirt myself. Fun fact of the day, I did it myself in high school. So it's fun. It's a neat little guy. You know, speaking of old stuff, I actually have a thing that I think has some of my really old art in there. I don't know if it still does or if I ended up clearing it out. I don't see any in here now. So maybe not. But I know at one point I did have a lot of art. I probably doesn't exist anymore. But Peel, I think Peel is lost to time, unfortunately. Peel is lost to time. So I am never going to log back into this account ever again. I mean, I'm here right now and I'm doing this one time and one time only, and then I'm never touching this account again. But if you go back and look at my old stuff, like, dude, oh my god. Like, my room's still the same. I have a different bed, but if you were to look at my other YouTube channels, I made those when I was in like colored those in like 3rd grade, but the TV's still here. Ignore my drugs. Uh, that is a funny sentence. Just ignore my drugs, you know? You can go up there. So I'm watching you from here. So actually, I have me, and then I have my other me. It's me and me. You know what? That would be funny. This is also me, though, you know? Me, and then I'm gonna have the other me by the end of the year, I'd hope. This is actually kind of fun. You know, if my main channel wasn't an art channel, I feel like when I was younger, I did do some live streams. Those are private now because, I mean, they were. They were a lot. So, I mean, they're private now. They're like kind of venti shames. Venti? They're like vent kind of sort of things. But if I actually really, really wanted to, I could do streams like this on my forgotten side YouTube channel that exists somewhere. I'm actually incognito mode on my laptop right now, so I can do this. Oh my god, my hair's so gender actually. I have the Snook cuts. We have the same haircut, which is not even intentional because I mean this guy is me, but I've been getting this haircut for years. And then I have my own haircut, so I mean um I'm going behind YouTube's back. Oh yeah, the incognito mode because it wasn't letting me do this on my tablet. Making tea. Gotta love tea. Spilling some tea. But yeah, it's me, and then me, and I fell over. Me. Um, my hair eyes? I don't have my hair eyes. They're gone into the wind. God, earlier when I was thinking about this, I was like, I need to physically have my Sona's body. I do not perceive myself as like physical body. I just my Sona, my Sona, my me. And yes, I am blinded. I've been blinded. My cone. My what? Oh! Oh, this one! I don't know. I don't have it. It's gone somewhere. It's gone in a way. It's far, far away. My old art, like the old life she had me going through a bunch of art. Do you want me to go through a bunch of art with you? Okay, we're gonna do this. We are going to have some fun here. Oh god, this is actually really heavy. So this is almost all of my art from high school and high school only. Um, you guys, this is thick. This is high school. 10th through 12th grade because I don't have the ninth grade stuff. But this is high school, by the way. Just high school. This is 4 years of my history right here. I'm probably not going to be able to go through all of it. Well, I mean, actually, technically, I can. It's just kind of chaotic here. But, dude, yeah, no, I am not even joking. You do not realize how thick this is. Oh, yeah, dude, little me, they would lose their mind over this. So we're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through this and have some fun, you know? How am I gonna do this? Okay. God, yeah. I'm gonna flip this over, I guess. Hold on. Let me throw my shit up here. Um, okay, let's see. I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay. So this is going to be, I think this was the last thing I drew in ninth grade. Uh, uh, God, yeah, no. Tech, sugar, moon, and then emerald. Oh, no, see, guys. I, I oh, so much OKKO stuff. More than half of this is OKKO. I am not even joking. OKKO has had such a big influence on my art. Okay, so this isn't necessarily in order. I'm just kind of going through it. Um, I remember this one, ninth grade here. Some tech. I feel like I should probably move my fan so it's not. I'll just turn it off actually, so it's not blowing in my face. So angsty, angsty. So if I'm doing it in this order, and I'm putting this one here, and then I pull this one over. I'm thinking of the order that I would do this in. So there's Achara, And then if I put this one here, that means Tech in Our Family. This is actually a redraw of something from 2018. And this was like when my art kind of hit like a period, because that did actually happen. My old Sona, the guy. Because I know when I move, I'm taking all of this with me because this is my, like, fucking 4 years of my art history or something. Like, this is a lot. You have no idea. Okay. Oh, this is chaotic. I do my Sona a lot, I think. I don't know, bro. I found a feather! Look at that. It's a little guy. It's older tech. Jippy, did I ever tell you about older tech? Jupiter? I'm not sure which one you prefer actually. Um Older tech. Did I ever tell you about older tech? I don't know if you were there when older Oh my god. So in 2018, I made this AU of tech where tech was older because Unitech's technically dead. In 2018, I made this AU where tech was older and miserable, and you can kind of tell I was just kind of being edgy and making an edgy AU of my OC. It's an AU of tech. It's like an AU of my OC. So I actually drew older tech recently in my sketchbook, my more recent sketchbook, as a redraw of something I did. But older tech is an AU of tech. And like there's actually a few different AUs. So there's tech, older tech, and then an AU where tech goes to therapy. I don't know. I haven't actually paid much attention to tech in recent years, except when I had a hyperfixation on her a little bit earlier this year. But speaking of tech, the tech. There's technically only two, technically. Ha! There's only a few AUs of tech, but they don't really get that much attention. I mean, I forget that I made AUs of tech because I made them when I was. Do you know how much that would mess with her parents? I'm actually, this feels kind of ironic coming from me, but I'm actually not a fan of media where they bring a character back to life after they die, unless it's done in a very specific way and done right. Because one of my friends has an OKKO AU called the Dreamkeeper AU, where the kids, well, KO and TKO die, and then they come back as Dreamkeepers. But there's so much lore behind that AU, and it's my friend's AU, and I know every single bit of detail about that AU that's been shared. Anyway, this is a character that I was actually trying to sell a while. Species that I never use her anyway, but it's from like a species and stuff. Um, this was actually my Sona in an old Halloween costume, bro. Like the fucking trans experience, dude. Bro, I'm gonna die over here. Just like Ghost Noah, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die, and then I'm gonna lose my head. Oh, my old Roblox avatar. Speaking, I was talking about Roblox earlier, actually. I have not logged into Roblox in like 5 years. I remember when I did this, got that camera is off center. It was a thing I did, but no, I don't know, man. Uh, would tech like my ghost guys? Like, as in, as people? Or, like, if she met them? The awkward dead silence. God, my fan, it's so weird without my fan running, but I mean, I can't risk my papers blowing away. Um, I don't know. Tech is, like, really like, I think she would really, really, really like Pure Vanilla Cookies Company. I mean, Tech's parents are amazing parents, by the way. I could never give her awful, awful parents because, I mean, I love her and I love her parents. I need to give my characters good parents. But, oh my god. This is actually a redraw of something. Technically a redraw of something from 2018. I did this drawing in 2018 where, like, Tech was, like, with their parents and they were just looking confused, and that was kind of like a redraw of this. Like, that this was like a redraw of that. But in this era of my art had a downgrade, and I think I've talked about this before because sometimes art stagnates. I just oh no, Zach would she would get nauseous seeing. There you go. Help. Anyway, Tech, if she saw Petrie throwing up rainbows, I think she would get nauseous. Genuinely. Emerald. So Emerald era. So Emerald from 2016, 2017-ish, 2017, 2016, 2017-ish, and then like modern Emerald design. Fun fact, Emerald's homeworld design. I don't know if you've ever seen Emerald's homeworld design, but Emerald's homeworld design is kind of loosely based off of Philip Party. I feel like, fun fact, I think Ghost Nilla gets nauseous at jam. I feel like mild amounts of jam would not bother him that much, but like massive amounts of jam would make him feel nauseous because of the trauma. And we don't talk about this one. So I refuse to talk about it. Also, my dad's here and he doesn't really know about it, but like my ex, we do not talk about that. But skipping over that, that was art of my Sona and his Sona. We did not talk about my ex though. Oh my god. Bro got thrown in jail, was not allowed internet access because he could talk to people. So if that gives you an idea of how he was, I'm just an entire jar. You are shoving me into jars and being very, very violent, you know. Oh yeah, this was a traditional version. So remember that drawing I did a remake of with like my Sona on the bed and how that digital version had a thing? This was actually the traditional version of it. God, this is like so wild. You're number one. Mouse. Where's my mouse? I can't see what that meant. Da, da, da. God, no. Advice. Older tech. I have so much of this, dude. I remember this was a digital version, and I've actually considered remaking that digital version. The trans experience, you know? This, oh my god, so you know this one, right? So this was actually, I want to pull out my older sketchbooks, but my older sketchbooks are in this bag I have under my bed right now. But this was a redraw of something from 2018. And I actually did a redraw of this back in 2022, I believe. I can pull it up on my phone actually. So maybe my phone's shitting itself over here. So this was a redraw of something from 2018, and then I redrew this back in 2022, I believe. And it was before my Sona became like tail kind of guy. Where is my folder for my whiteboards? Bro, me scavenging the internet. Here it is. Let me find it here. I'm looking. I know it's here somewhere. Here it is. Yeah, so redraw something from 2018, and then that's very off center. It's the light of God over here. You can't even see that. Help! Oh, thank you. My silly little voice. Blind you, I more old sun art. I am. I am holding an ancient relic. That ancient relic's me, by the way. Me and my soul jam. Out of order here. Do I really like this one? Um, this is gift art for someone, I think. I say that and then it looks like says that. Yeah, thank you. My voice is silly. When you look at so if you go to this channel and you look at my older videos, my voice is so high pitched. I mean, I know I was like 10 years old, but still. Man, bro. Old art. More old art. Oh my god. I'm going to die right now. I did a lot of stuff. I did a lot of What are you taking? Did you take my staff? My flower staff? I need that. Is that a bug? Go away. You're stealing my stuff. So you are now going to be Licorice Cookie and the Ghostnilla AU because he actually snatches Ghostnilla's staff. Anyway, lots of stuff. I even have, like, I mean, we don't talk about this one, but it's art of my Sona and my ex's Sona. Oh, this was like me attempting to, so like original tech. I remember I was like bringing back, I was thinking about like returning that species that she was or whatever, and then like this was a concept of that, but um, bro is not really vibing. My little dragon guy, Nova. That is his name. His name's Nova. I just realized that. But he's a little dragon guy and his name is Nova. Yeah, I just realized that after I said that. I'm like, oh yeah. Name sharing, I guess. Yeah, no, I mean, I had that guy in 2018, so that's way before I knew you. Knew you guys. Bumpity bum bum. This is going to take forever to go through, I'm gonna be very honest with you. Um, the fact that there's people watching this is kind of scary because I don't know who's here. Does it say who's here? It does not say who's here. But I am just going through old art right now, bro. But no, I actually drew him back in 2022, I think. Um, and then I just haven't drawn him since. Bro, this is kind of chaotic. I drew my Sona a lot and I drew Tech a lot. You can tell I was like at a period where I didn't know what the frick to do because I just do a bunch of bust shots and random ass shading and oh, I remember how I was redrawing this one, but with my Sona. Yeah, this one is before disaster. Before disaster. 2019 trauma. Oh, this is hurting my legs actually. This one is actually for a class assignment. A fun little guy. Um, more older tech. Whenever I get through this, I will show you actually my most recent sketchbook, which I'm going through very slowly. This is an OC I forget that I have. And here's some OKKO stuff we're going for here. Um, Apocalyptic Uni Enid. Also, yes, that is a phone one, sorry. Apocalyptic Enid. Oh, okay, so the order I put these in was backwards. So okay, now I'm sorting through all this again. So now I know the way that I need to put these and the direction I need to set these. Yes. So this pile, most of it is going to be OKKO. So this is from my 2019 OKKO hyperfixation, the last ones that you just saw. So 2019 OKKO hyperfixation. So I can actually tell you the order of my hyperfixations from 2019. So in 2019, when I was at my grandma's, I was hyperfixating on tech and a bunch of like random non-canon stuff with her. And then my OKKO hyperfixation from 2019, which was actually very important for me because that was when I started liking my art because um I had this really long history of disliking my art and liking like heavily disliking my art. So my 2019 OKKO hyperfixation actually led to me like some of the art that I made was such an important part of my art development because that's when I started liking my art, and you can tell that's when I started liking my art. And I do not believe my art would be that it is currently if I did not have that 2019 OKKO hyperfixation and started developing my art in the way that I liked it. Because once I started liking my art, it made the biggest difference ever. And like, that's what I'm telling you. Like, even if you look back at your old art and you tell yourself that it's cringe, just, I mean, I know I've gotten to the point where I can look at my old art and I can appreciate my old art because it, if not for that old art, I wouldn't be at the skill level that I am at now. So it's like a, this is, no, yeah, like seriously. And you can tell, I don't know if Jupiter's still here or not, but, um, there was this in 2017, I think I reached a part where I started liking my art, and then so 2017. Oh no, you burnt your hand. 2017 art. Like I made a big improvement in 2017, and then in later in 2017, I met my current friend group, and then I started disliking my art because everyone's skill was so much better compared to mine. But then looking back, like we were all at the same skill level. I just, you know. Hi, we're going through more. This is Sammy enjoying their art period era. Fun little guys. Oh, this was me not remembering the OKKO style, but trying to draw in the OKKO style. But I realized after that that it kind of sucked. So my fun fact about my Void Sona is actually a revamped version of my Vent Sona. Because I used to have a Vent Sona, and this was the Vent Sona. And then back in 2022, I kind of like took the Vent Sona and like was like, so technically they still are because I tend to use my Void Sona more in Vent art than anything. But I mean, they've been revamped, you know. Uh, Mr. Vent Sona, sir. You can't even see this. What is going on here? Bumpity bum bum. Just has a random math problem on the back or something. What is the difference between self-pollination and cross-pollination? List the three main minerals that plants take from the soil. Just for fun, how many Super Bowls have been played? How many Super Bowls have gone into overtime? Oh yeah, so this one was me doing art. And then this was me doing it in my own style because um and it's kind of funny how like style mimicking, but I can do the OKKO style very well now. Uni OKKO Masona. The fact that there are four people watching this terrifies me. I don't know if these are the people that I know or if they're just random strangers on the internet. But this is to anyone, if there's a random person out there watching this, this is not my main YouTube channel. I'm just here for a funny bit. I'm assuming that anyone here is some people that I know, but if by chance somehow not, then I'm sorry. Yeah, and there's four people watching it apparently. So I don't know if there's anyone here from Cookie Run Kingdom server. If there's anyone here from Cookie Run Kingdom server, say hello. Ah, if anyone here is from Cookie Run, like other than you two, because the idea of some random people on the internet watching this with zero context. I feel like I need to comment on my main YouTube channel here, so that way, like, I can be like, "Hi, yeah, me, me, hello, me." God, I have so much, bro. There's most of this stream just gonna be me showing my old art. I need to redraw that one. Oh, my stomach is making stomach sounds here. We will acknowledge. Oh god. Okay, yeah, I can. It's just my. Okay. More art. I'm getting kind of hungry. I don't want to eat on camera, but I have snacks with me. Um, yeah. It says there's 0 people watching now, so everybody left and I am all alone. La-di-da-da. La-di-da. I'm gonna stop showing every single thing and then just show some of the like important, the bigger things, you know? Because showing every single thing is gonna be like, why am I flipping that one over? The most time-consuming thing ever. I did these in class whenever we were playing like a little game. Um, sugar, my Sona, but they're upside down sleepy. TKO with a long neck. The sex sad dad or something. Uh, true. This one was that 2019 redraw of a thing I did from 2018. Um, Emerald Homeworld design here. If I eat something, I'd probably just step off camera and mute myself. Uh, like, even though I just have snacks with me here. Wait, I have snacks right over there. In one of my old videos on this channel, there's like younger me taking a bite out of beef jerky and smacking it with their mouth and then like getting like a hard candy and like crunching on it. And I'm like, kid, what are you doing? What are you doing, kid? Please do not eat on camera. I am going to find you and I'm going to fight you myself. I know you're me, but you need to stop eating on camera like that, bro. Like, no, seriously, if you go to the first live stream on this channel, you will find that. And speaking of, I might have to go to the bathroom, so I might have to just leave you guys alone for a minute. I will be right back. I'm going to. Welcome, folks. Are you ready for some giggles? I actually haven't checked Kikirun Kingdom since a while ago. Hi. I immediately turned to see Stammy. Let's see. More old arts. More old arts. More olds. TKO. There's so much trying to stuff here, bro. Let's see. Oh, it's water. What did I name them? I think I named them Watermelon Quartz. It's a fusion of Emerald and Steven. What is that emoji? What is that? Bro. Oh, this is cool. I am going to fight. I'm going to fight your pink poop. That is a sentence I never want to say ever again. What are those? How are you doing that? Oh my god. Help. Help. This one is cool. Okay, I might need to like step off camera for like 5 seconds to eat something. Which I had these like little mini birthday cake moon pies I have actually. I might just like stick one of those in my mouth off camera. Um, just shove it in my mouth, you know. I'd be muted though. I. What is that a dab? I'm going to murder you with my own 2 hands. Shadow Milk Cookie would dab. Like Shadow Milk Cookie would do that. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh my god. So who remembers the corrupted Steven theory? So in 2019, my OKKO hyperfixation, like Steven Universe Futures promo aired, and then I saw the Steven Universe corrupted Steven theory, and then that hyperfixated my brain because you know me, like little me was obsessed with that. Like I said little me even though I was like 15 at the time, and then like 16 whenever that aired. Okay, it's whatever. But I was obsessed with the corrupted Steven theory. So in 2019, my hyperfixations went from tech to OKKO to Steven Universe, and then in 2020, I actually watched Over the Garden Wall for the first time, and then I had an Over the Garden Wall hyperfixation, and uh, I actually was going to write an Over the Garden Wall fan fiction, and it's actually on my Wattpad drafts right now, but I never went through to finishing it because I mean, I got like in the middle of the first chapter, and then like it kind of just like my attention shifted away from it. But the fic of Over the Garden Wall that I was going to write walked so that way Spectral KO could run. Um, old noodles. After I get through this specific pile, I'm gonna like step off camera for like 5 seconds to eat something. And then after the stream, I'll probably like actually properly stuff something in my mouth. I'm an eater boy. Eater boy? Yes. I eat like food. Oh no. I remember so I've only briefly talked about Spinel Tech as a shitpost in one of like my own personal Discord server like many years ago. There was this inside joke called Spinel Tech. And this is so cursed. And I hate it so much. Thanks, I hate it. It's a dumb inside joke that happened. Um Sammy art. More cursed Spinel Tech stuff. There's a fly on my laptop. Speaking of tech and a stop sign, there's actually which server? The Cookie Run Kingdom server. Let's see. I can do that right now. Anyway, speaking of stop signs, I don't know if you actually know this, but there's this funny inside joke with Emerald. There's this inside joke with in Emerald. So Emerald in so 3 gems and a baby. You know how the gems bring gems to Steven? Emerald brings baby Steven a stop sign. And then like so she brings it in and Greg is like, is that a stop sign? And then in the background you could hear a car crash happening. That's a very specific like thought that I've had. And then like it's like a funny bit, like because I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna stuff this in my mouth real quick. Um let's see. I'm right here. I'm just eating this off camera. So let me mute for a second because I don't want my camera or audio to pick up me potentially sticking anything in my mouth. So My eyes! My eyes! My eyes. I don't know why I did that. I did check the server. You are free to post out of context Sammy quotes if you really want to. Um. Ooh. But yeah, after I'm done with this, I'm definitely gonna go eat some actual proper food. Oh God, why did I think this was a good idea? I'm probably not gonna continue going through these. Um, yeah, I'm probably just gonna. I'm not gonna go through all of these anymore because there's just so much, and I do not have that energy. But I will grab some of my favorites here, like carpool therapy doodles. So let me like cut this pile in half here. Cut this pile in half. Ha. God, this is insane. So this was, I think, the 2020 school year, the longest OKKO hyperfixation. So this OKKO hyperfixation developed it into a special interest of mine. So apocalyptic AU, yes. So you will see how much the way I draw OKKO has changed significantly, and you can tell. Shiny, a random doodle of shiny. Um, oh, I forgot I did this one. It's for class. It's for class. It's a lot of my guys. It's got some OCs I don't think anyone's seen. Charcoal, which is just a spinel. Veer, well, an Invader Zim OC. Um, lots of guys. Okay, I forgot I did that. Let's see. I'm trying to remember the era that this is from. Oh, so no one here understands the context, but I'm going to carpool therapy app anyway. So carpool therapy, we've kind of ended up splitting these into seasons. And so the first season of carpool therapy ended up having the KOs. So therapist KO in the beginning kind of had like a mini villain arc, as we call it, um, where he fucking he made the KOs play the face of fear, but the face of fear things were on a screen in the therapy office for all of the KOs to see. And I really do miss those early days of corporal therapy, I'm not gonna lie. um, and in the end of so I guess we kind of, like I said, kind of divided them into seasons. Near the end of it, we kind of just, the KOs made KO play it. And there was a lot of stuff that happened with KO. One of the times, me and my friends that were involved in carpool therapy. I'm not using we as in me specifically. I'm using we as in me and all the other people involved in carpool therapy. It's not a it's not a plural we, dude. I promise you. Anyway, KO had there was a scene with Among Us KO, and he cornered him into a wall, and he took this knife and like carved tear marks down his face, so like you can kind of see that those are like where scars are. So that was an early corporal therapy thing. And then at one point in corporal therapy, uh I got minor frostbite and because of like a thing that happened. I was fine, by the way. And I wanted to project, so I made KO get shoved into the freezer. Um so KO got shoved into a freezer, and like there was like a lot going on with like different guys, so crazy lore drop. Yeah, no, that was a kind of a chaotic thing. So I was going on a dentist appointment one time, and the tire went flat. And then so my dad had to make a detour and go to Walmart instead to get his tire replaced. And he wasn't sure if he had the money. And like there was the bank that we used, there was one like kind of just a few blocks down. But this was like 14-degree weather, not really properly just for walking in the weather. So we kind of walked up there. And then like I was so cold. Um. Anyway, lots of carpool stuff here. I am not sharing all of this. I am definitely not sharing most of this. Just cause I mean there's so much here, bro. There's internal decomp. Fun fact, the reason I have my own templates disabled in all of the servers that I'm in is because internal decomp, aka coach, as me and my friends call him, my bracket for him is that that bracket, and so every time I try to make a specific face, it just happens. Um. Okay, let's see here. I think this is got this. I am not joking when I say that this is heavy. Okay, let's see here. I know at some point in 2022, 2021, 2022, I think it was 2022, I ended up getting a sketchbook from one of my teachers. And you can tell that I had like a hyperfixation with Dreamkeeper Shiny, which is one of my guys. It's like an AU of a guy. It's like a corporal therapy based AU. Um, it's a non-canon of corporal therapy, or Shiny becomes a Dreamkeeper, and I could change its bracket, but I really don't want to. I don't know why, bro. I just don't want to. Anyway, lots of corporal therapy doodles here. Oh, a Biscale! My little guy. I don't really talk about him that much, but he's a little guy, a little scrunkly boy. It's already been 48 minutes. What the fuck? Oh, fun fact, in corporal therapy, MKO. So we actually have two therapists, KO and MKO. KO is not qualified to be a therapist, but MKO is qualified as a 6 to 11-year-old child. And MKO ends up having a villain arc later. But I mean, can you really blame him? Because he keeps going to this therapy because KO keeps asking him to. And then he keeps getting hurt. And anyway, this scene, Among Us KO literally pulled out half of his intestine. So he that is a funny thing out of context to talk about. But that happened. And later on, um he later on in corporal therapy, he had a villain night. He had a villain night, a villain arc, because this is very, very specific, but there was this KO. So like one of the KOs some like works with like dark like like magic stuff, and like he summoned a demon from the void on accident. And then it's like a void shape-shifting demon. And so it started going to therapy. And so it started going to therapy and like shape-shifting and stuff. And then at one point it befriended Among Us KO and Dreamkeeper TKO. And then like it was just like it was mimicking them. So it shape-shifted into them and it was pretending to be them. And like they did this thing where they're pulling out each other's eyes and eating them. That was an actual thing that happened in corporal therapy. They were kind of just doing this on their own, but this demon, which is named Bach, by the way, it saw that and it did into them, like both of them at the same time, because it can do that. And um, so it did that, and since it was pretending to be these two, it ripped out MKO's eyeball, and it went to the void, and then it fed his eyeball to Among Us KO because he was having a moment where he was like pretending, like he wasn't necessarily pretending to be a cat, but he has this Among Us parasite that like feeds off of fear, and like there's a whole thing of like dehumanization and stuff. So that was the whole thing. And dude, when I did this in school, I used up an entire pen. Like I had a brand new pen like in school that she just gave me, and then like I used it all up in one day for this because everything is colored. Everything has pen. Everything except the very light. Even the light parts have pen. This used so much pen, bro. 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 Ah, Dreamkeeper shiny stuff. He's so silly. I know. I had a fun with these, by the way. I had a lot of fun with these. I had so much fun with these, bro. Uh, blankets. I sawed this heart in half. That is a hilarious sentence. I am aware. I love this expression actually. This is kind of chaotic. I never liked this one. It's in the art box of shame, but ex expressions, lots of fun times, silly fun times. Um, I had a lot of fun with doodles. Apocalyptic TKO in a box, by the way. I love this kiddo so much. He scratches my brain. Scratchy, scratchy, scratchy brain. Ta-da! I have so much. So much. I don't know, guys. I think it likes Dreamkeeper Shiny. Yes, I am! Da-da-da, da-da-da. Hey, I think I like this. I think I like drawing the style. I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell. This is actually me trying to draw in my 2017 art style. If you're here, you should be able to recognize this. 27. I'd hope so anyway. Like a 20. Ah. Get you in a dress! You get shiny in a dress! Huh, what? Huh? This one's a banger, though. Oh! Oh! This is Holland! This is the start of the hole here. Oh, this is the start of the hole. It's Holland. It's Holland. Oh, this was an AU idea I never did anything with, but it was based off of the dream I had. What if... So I've been actually doing this fun thing. So first of all, I want to... Hold it. So I want to actually, yeah, about some of my... This is the last one in the pile. About my Cookie Run Kingdom AUs. Because, you know what? On the internet, to random people, might as well, right? Even though it's literally just two people here. So, send me your questions my way. I have Schmilk, I have Fallen Angel AU, of course, and then I have Ghost Nilla, the silly Ghost Neely. Ghost Neely, ha 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 ha. So, let's see what I was gonna do. Ah, yes. Anyway, I got a ping somewhere. Where did I get pinged? I got pinged here. Schmook has. Oh, I see. So, Schmook, fun fact about Schmook, I think I've talked about before. His AU was originally going to be a ghost guy AU, but then that AU shifted away from a ghost guy and kind of became its own thing. But then as you see now, Ghost Nilla is the guy. Uh, anyway, three people. That's fun. So anyway, what was I saying? I don't know, bro. I do not know. Okay, so my words are gone. My words are leaving my body. Just like Ghost Nilla's life. Ha ha ha. This is so stupid. I don't know. What do you think his reason for liking Zap would be? Genuine question. Let me put this out. Let me put this hefty guy up. And I need to put this thing in there too, actually. Because I feel like Shadow Milk Cookie he's very situational and stuff. I feel like he'd only really, I don't know if I want to, like, he's very situational and subjective. I feel like I don't necessarily think he'd like Zap, but I feel like he might find him useful in some way potentially because Schmilk in general just kind of does whatever he wants to get whatever he wants. He I mean, So I feel like if he met Zap, if he found like if he thought that he would need him for some reason that he would try and do something. I'm not sure. Okay, I'm putting this in real quick. Um, um, While we're doing this, I'm actually gonna pull up Cookie Run Kingdom so that way I can do this. So who's still here? Okay. Um. So. Hello. I feel like I don't know. He's very situational and subjective here. Anyway, hi. I finished going through my art. I'm pulling up Cookie Run Kingdom on my tablet, and I am considering AU yapping a little bit. So if any random people on the internet come find this later, they can hear about my Cookie Run Kingdom AUs. Ha ha ha. Um. I can speak, I promise. I know how to speak words here. So, I don't know, man. So, fucking fuck. Uh, so Schmilk was my first. I made the first Schmilk concept drawing, before, like, when I, like, first started playing, roughly. Because I really wanted to, like I said before, Schmilk was originally going to be a ghost guy, but then that AU, like, completely switched away from that idea. But he would probably bite you or something. I swear, this man would probably bite you. Um, because I mean, what if he did that to you? What if Schmook turned you into a basketball and like just yeeted you into the ocean? Good luck with that, I think. Um, anyway, yeah, Schmook's depth perception is really fucked up, and I think about that sometime. Oh, oh, that's a tricky one. Ooh, I feel like he would like. I feel like if you asked that to Ghost Nilla, I feel like he would just stare at you. Like, I feel like he would just stand there in distress, staring at you, unable to answer the question. But, oh, I'm thinking about this answer here. That's a question that Shadow Milk Cookie would ask him. That is a very Schmilk core question. I have to go to the bathroom again. I'll be right back. Why did I miss? Hi. Okay. Anyway. Oh no, you can't bite people. I'll bite you. I will bite you. And anyway, so I was thinking about that. That's a question that Shadow Milk Cookie would ask him. And he would ask him that question, and then he would like visually show like the questions that he'd ask. So would you rather let me find your thing again. So Shadow Milk Cookie would be like, so, pure vanilla cookie, would you rather relive your so every time you dream, would you rather relive your moments of crumbling, or would you rather just completely lose your ability to communicate with the living? Not like that specifically, but I mean, I really had to like think to get in character here, but he would ask him that, and then as he asks him the question, he would like blast him with like illusions and stuff like of what that would be like. Um, you know, you know, because I mean, pizza cheese, pizza cheese. Yeah. Yep. 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 God, bro. Yes. So, have any of you guys pulled Silent Salt yet? Hi. Hello. Hi. I am at like I don't know how many pulls. I think I've got like 70 pulls right now. I have not got them yet. I clicked on the wrong thing. Um, I have not got Silent Salt yet. Oh, you know what I think would be fun? You You remember how I was talking about how a while ago I was doing a Google Translate version of my old 2017 apocalyptic AU fic? But I never finished doing that translation stuff, but do you want me to read out the translated bits that I do have for that? I think that would be hilarious. Um, I feel like I could I was gonna say I could probably stream my screen, but I have incognito mode, so I'm not logged into anything else right now. Okay. So let me pull Google Docs up on my phone while I do some funky Cookie Run Kingdoms. I have 282 axes, 72 uh, magic tongue things, and then 18 of these hammers. Bro. Okay, I have this pulled up on my phone. Will to Ashes translated. So I'm assuming that you at least know a little bit. At least you do, Jupiter, GP. I'm not sure which one you prefer. Um, No, why are you robbing me? What did I do to you? Oh, you're not talking to me. Oh, sorry. I'm a blind man. Okay, so let me just finish my production stuff real quick. No, not mine. I used some yesterday for some polls, so I went from 170,000 to like 158,000. But they're my gems. They're mine. I need them for me and me alone. Because I'm a silly guy, you know? Um, let's see here. Okay, so I have my production building started. So, translated version of World to Ashes. So a fic from 2017, a heavily translated version. I lost the game, by the way. You just lost the game. Okay, so World to Ashes 2017 translated version. So, I'm gonna read this as it says. The hills were quiet. KO. When would this ever end? She didn't know if a month had passed, a year, or even what day it was. She remembered when her mother had died and how unstable she had been. She lay there on a cardboard and carpeted bed, staring at the ceiling and crying, hearing Crumply and Colworth's voices from behind him. He felt uneasy. His friends had meant everything to him since he'd lost them. He didn't know what would happen if they were gone. This is not the bioenergy was overwhelming one. He wanted to be closer to Dandy. He'd never forget the moment when Dandy's limbs and body collapsed to the ground immediately after seeing Crumply and Colworth. She remembered the shock and horror of knowing he was dying. I actually skipped a paragraph, but that is fine. I'm not going back and reading that. Not only is it dangerous, but it's also painful to live and help these people in difficult times. His dream of the day when all the world's great men would die turned into a terrifying reality when thieves discovered their hideout after the atomic bomb was dropped. He smiled faintly as he remembered how much Enid had cared for him while he was fighting the bad guys. He's okay now. It was amazing that he was able to protect his wife from the attack. His wife regretted not doing anything but running and hiding. Of course she would have run away. He was only a child between 6 and 11 years old. Kale stood up and groaned as he looked at the bandages on his arms and legs. All this time he had been in pain, but when he saw Crumply, he began to walk slowly, but step by step. Is your cat okay? His wife thanked Crumply for giving her a cloth to cover the hole. A smile spread across her face, knowing that he saw her not just as a protector and a caretaker, but as a friend. Kyle loved being with them, but it would be a lie to say he wasn't lonely. Life had become difficult after what happened, and Ko laughed. He loved being the pack leader, but no one supported him. She saw it differently from being a leader or the feeling of receiving a gift. What do you want? When I got home. Anyway, she saw it differently from being a leader, or the feeling of receiving a gift, but being a leader was now strange and difficult. Yeah, he answered, hiding the irritation in his voice. When do you want to go? I think it's midnight. Crumply glanced at the bedroom clock. Kale was still afraid to kiss Dandy. What? Me? Are you talking to me? Or are you talking to Bat? Where's my laptop charger? I need my charger for my laptop. Give me a minute. Me? Oh yeah, I'm fine. My dad was just knocking on my door and asking me something. Where's my laptop? I'm really getting into reading this though. I'm really getting into reading this. Um, yeah, I can't see them, so I guess there aren't that many criminals. Coworthy sighed. Was there nothing else? You have to be careful. It's better not to touch them, Ko said. You can't be careful there. Everyone turned to Ko. I went shopping. Honestly, it doesn't always work out, but sometimes it does. Even if I don't want to. Rye's words of wisdom here. Okay, so that was the first chapter of Translated Just a Scratch. Anyway, chapter 2. I have a secret. Chaos sighed as he walked. Coworth and Catatus? Catatus. Coworth and Catatus standing behind him. It was well past 3 p.m., and he was ready for other things if he had time. KO, that was his uniform, the coat and jacket he'd found when he'd rented the basement. It was as if he'd traveled back in time, eager to enjoy all of the things he could ignore that hadn't been sold by pirates. He turned his head and looked at Potato and Coworth. They were carrying boxes containing the food they'd collected. Are you ready? KO asked as he walked Coworth. As he walked, Coworth and Potatoes agreed, and KO began to walk slowly. He turned and looked around, and looked towards what was now the town square. It was dark outside, with trash strewn across the ground. A faint voice came from behind him, making KO shiver slightly. He went inside and told Colworth and Potatoes to follow him. The two of them argued, and Ko followed them. Once he was outside, the girl pushed the back door against a hole in the ground, obscuring his hiding place. So where are you going? Ko Crumply asked. Making sure no one was watching, he pointed to a nearby house. This way, he whispered, and began to walk slowly and quickly. Ko and Colworth followed suit with these. Always be careful when you go out. You might get attacked by a stranger in the middle of the night. The two went to where Crumply was cooking. Ko was amazed at how quickly and easily he had stuck everything into his bag. Coworth continued to overwhelm Crumply and KO, who was waiting for him. For a moment, they thought everything was fine, but then they heard footsteps behind them. The three turned towards the sound and closed their eyes in shock. Kai looked down in horror and saw a pile of garbage next to him. He quickly and politely introduced himself to Coworth and a burger, and they quickly walked towards him. The floor was high, but they had hidden inside a nearby wooden box. But KO was behind them, but neither of them immediately showed any interest. Once they were inside, the curtains came down, and it was pitch black. The three were out of breath. We could feel our hearts beating faster than usual. After a few minutes, they sighed and started to leave. Neither of them spoke a word while they were at the lake. The risk of them getting locked in the car and trying to hide was too high. KO tried to listen for footsteps in that direction, but heard nothing. Suddenly, the car started moving again and didn't stop until it reached the dump. Everyone held their breath. It looked like it had robotic legs, like boots. At the same time, KO heard the door open and quickly pulled out a mini stun gun ready to shoot whoever opened the door. After a moment of silence, KO's ghost began vomiting again. The door opened and Coworthy and Potatoes blinked anxiously, wondering what was going on. Once everything was wide open, KO immediately slammed his axe into the wall, slamming him to the ground. KO looked down and, to his surprise, was a Daryl. He stared for a moment, then shook his head. Coworth and Potatoes looked on, confused. "We can't go anymore," KO said. The other two shook their heads and ran back inside, grabbing whatever sweets they could find. KO. As Coworth and Potatoes threw as many things as they could into the trash, KO hastily stripped off his clothes. Then he went inside the house, slammed the door, and left. Exhausted, he collapsed to the ground. I don't know how the translated thing did this because I'm reading a heavily translated thing. So KO hastily stripped off his clothes, I guess. I don't know what the original sentence was, but it was not that. I have to go back and look at the old story here. I'd have to go back and look, but right now I'm just vibing and I'm getting really in character with this one. Really in character? Not that's not what I mean, but like, words. Exhausted, he collapsed to the ground. He didn't want to go home yet, but he got up anyway. He, Coworth, and Potatoes had been shot, and the man was panicking. But what mattered most right now was that they were safe and had made it home unharmed, and that meant everything to him. Okay, that was so. There's a sentence later on that's like the most randomly translated one ever, and I don't know how it happens. When we get to that part, you will know what it is. Um, but so yeah, this is kind of wild. I'm hugging me, by the way, as I do this. I'm hugging me because this is the kind of story that Shadow Milk Cookie would write. I'm like, because what I did here is I took an old story I wrote and threw it into Google Translate a bunch of times, and then brought it back, and then did the whole thing. But um, who pinged me? Who pinged me? Why am I getting pinged? Oh, it was an everyone. Anyway, um, but yeah, this is like because I took an old story, threw it in the Google Translate. I haven't finished the like actual translated version of this, but anyway, this is something that Shadow Milk Cookie would write. I say as Shadow Milk Cookie. Anyway, chapter 3. Sorry, I took a short break. Ko stayed at the floor for a moment, then stood up and walked over to Coworth and Potato. "How much food did you get?" he asked, pulling out his pistol and stun gun and placing them on a small table Coworth had found on the floor. 3.5, Potato answered as he walked over to the kitchen table. "The office is pretty quiet, which is a good thing." He opened a box and took out several items. It contained a box of bread, a box of fruit, and other snacks. Everyone gathered around the microwave when they saw the food they had found. KO didn't remember how we'd gotten a hold of it, but he knew it was dangerous and needed to be there. In fact, the night he'd gotten it, KO looked at it and was surprised it was still working. Okay, bye-bye. Okay, time for bed, Potato groaned. He was tired. I probably will plan on eating after this ends, so probably not too much longer. I'm probably gonna just vibe. Um, anyway, but don't worry. I will eat. I will be a very fed boy very soon. Anyway, where was I? Anyway, where was I? Okay. Keo shook his head and threw himself onto the cardboard bed, then onto the carpet he'd been covering himself with. Hi, but still, Ko. You didn't give it to him. It was everything to her. She was grateful to have someone to hold her. He lay on a stuffed animal he'd found as a child. She didn't know why he'd kept it, but he had, and she was happy. He looked into his heart and fell asleep. He slept peacefully all night. But Dad, trust me, Daryl yelled, frustrated that Boxman couldn't hear him. There are other heroes. That's why I was banished. Boxman sighed. He couldn't believe Daryl's words. Daryl, last year's hero is over, he said, crossing his arms. There are no heroes in this world. But, Dad! Boxman interrupted Daryl, telling him to shut up. Daryl immediately fell silent, staring blankly at his father, as if regretting his words. I tell you, heroism is over. Don't you understand? Boxman laughed. You don't understand, hero. Just shut up and go home. Now. Derry sighed, slowly walked back to his room, and lay down in bed. He knew for sure that heroism had knocked him unconscious. Muttering to himself, he turned off the lights and went to sleep. But that night, Veal's life raced through her mind, haunting her dreams. When she woke up the next morning, she knew she had to tell Shannon and Raymond. Maybe they would believe him. Kale sighed and stood up, glancing around the room to see if Crumply and Colworth were still asleep. Sighing, he got out of bed, walked over to the tray, sat in the middle, and tried again. She remembered the TV news reporting something had happened to her mother and the ensuing panic. While everyone had fled to safety, only a few had survived the atomic bomb. He grimaced at the sudden sounds of screams and cries. Sure enough, the sounds halted for a moment, then faded away, sounding like Ko's voice. If you try again, Ko, who stopped shaking his head, sighing, he grabbed a pillow near the floor and began to draw with it. He imagined himself standing on the ground, writing here in white foam, in a silent world filled with countless dust particles. He'd put down his cane, stretched, and looked at what he'd written. She felt the urge to cry, but held it back. He didn't want to cry, but he found himself. Every time a memory flashed through his mind, she closed her eyes tightly. He clenched his fist, closed his eyes, and felt the digits of his life disappear. She finally screamed, threw him to the ground, and smashed the camera to pieces. She gasped, tears welling up in her eyes. His body was shaking, and he was helpless. He wanted to be one of the many heroes who deserved to die. As he shook his head and cried, he heard Crumply's voice from behind him. Ko, are you okay? He asked. Meanwhile, Ko looked at him worriedly. She didn't want to get up with Coworth in his fingers. She didn't want to hurt him. But the two of them got up, and the man was clearly telling him to be careful, and he immediately felt bad. In this next chapter, I don't know if you can see that, but that's how it was translated. The one, and then a bunch of spaces, and then the words. That is exactly how it translated. And that's really hilarious, and I don't know how that happened. Anyway, Kumoji building. Maybe someone should hire me as a fucking audiobook reader or something. I don't know. Kale stood there, staring at Crumply and Coworth, still crying. Crumply didn't move, didn't think, and just stood there, unable to do or say anything. Ko, Crumply, Ko said, but stopped when he saw her. I'm running. He sighed, opened the door, and looked at Crumply and Coworth. Wait! Coworth yelled, but there was no answer. Ko peeked out, yelled again, and waited for someone to find him. He waited, but nothing happened. He held his breath until he realized what he was doing, then stopped. The girl closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and went into the room, closed the door, and left. Potato and Coworth watched in horror, unable to believe KO's powers. KO, why did you do that? Potato asked anxiously. Thank goodness no one heard. KO laughed. He was shocked and confused, unable to comprehend what was happening. The woman closed her eyes and held out her hand, but the man quickly pulled it away. I'm sorry, the man said, taking her hand. I don't know what happened. Potatoes and Cold looked at each other, but KO said, I'm scared of everything that's happening right now. Her voice trembled and she began to cry again. I'm really scared. I know what I did is bad for you. I'm lucky I didn't get caught this time. There was silence until she collapsed. She hoped the two would never forgive each other, but she was right. I can't forgive him. It's not fair. The silence continued as the rash continued. She closed her eyes, then flinched when the two men touched her. I know, it was a rash thing to do, her father said. Don't worry. But I could have caught them and killed them, she said, wiping away her tears. I can't forgive myself. Cutworthy said, You're human too, but don't worry, even if we got caught, we'll die as a team, you know? It doesn't matter what you say, her father said with a smile. Haha, thanks for comforting everyone. The girl closed her mouth and smiled again. A small wave of joy filled her heart. She couldn't help but remember the last time she'd felt so happy and excited. After a while, the three of them looked at each other and smiled. No one had been close for long, and everyone was relieved. Kale felt a small wave of joy, but it vanished as quickly as it came, and so did his happiness. I know, P. Yeah, maybe we should call it the club, Coworthy laughed. Well, that's funny. We don't even have to use a band name. It's just a suggestion. K.O. Coworthy looked at him with a look of serious surprise. K.O. asked quietly, and Coworthy's heart skipped a beat. That's one of the best ideas I've ever heard. Really? Coworthy asked sadly. You really like my idea? Yes, K.O. said with a smile. Just think, we're fighting the bad guys. That's exactly what we're gonna do. And then Coworthy starts provoking us. Now, someone listen. Then we'll find a way to beat the bad guys. He looked up and smiled at K.O. in surprise. Yeah, you're still brave and cocky, Crumply laughed. You should know that all is not lost yet. Haha, yeah, maybe, Ko chuckled softly. That's good to hear. Alright. And then the next chapter translated name is What Exactly is Heaven? This is kind of chaotic because it makes zero sense. Because it's all just kind of jumbled together because Google Translate stuff, but it's really funny how it barely makes a coherent story. There's bits of what could be a story, but not really. Anyway, what exactly is heaven? That night, he feared Ko had little regret. Though Coworth and Potatoes had forgiven him, he'd been dwelling on it for a long time. Perhaps it had started a long time ago. What a terrible bunch. When it was time to go to bed, he had no choice but to relax. Just fall asleep and forget everything that had happened that day. He jumped into bed and curled up like a monkey. Exhausted from tossing and turning all day, he was exhausted. Ko stood in the middle of a stadium destroyed by a nuclear bomb. All of the houses were destroyed, and the trees had fallen to the ground. He could hear screams in the distance, and more bodies lay on the ground. He decided to keep his step on something slippery or fall into a hole and fail. The woman shivered, her head down, staring ahead. The man walked around, searching for her body. The area was silent, and the atmosphere was strange and eerie. He continued walking, spotting someone familiar, and ran off. He was shocked to see Dandy's head on the floor. She took a deep breath, her body beginning to tremble. She looked up. She jumped, looked up, and leaned in, staring into his eyes. He looked into her eyes and told her she was on the verge of tears. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. Thank you, Ko, she said with a smile. One Ko when he opened his eyes, his expression changed from sadness to shock. Why did you leave? No, Ko, she screamed, and everything around her collapsed. She heard a man singing and calling her name. Ko! All Ko ever since. She had been afraid he might regret a little. Though Coworth and Potato had forgiven him, he had been brooding over it for a long time. He wondered how long it would take. They were really scary. When it was time for bed, he couldn't help but relax, wanting only to sleep and forget everything that had happened today. He curled up in his bed, howling for a long time, making wolf-like movements. He was extremely frightened. Caillou was standing in the middle of an airport that had been destroyed by a nuclear bomb. The entire building was destroyed. Corpses were scattered on the floor. He heard noises in the distance, and more corpses lying on the ground. He decided to Did I copy paste this twice? I did! Okay. I accidentally copy pasted the same bit twice in here. Okay. Okay, so let me skip to this part I read. He suddenly opened his eyes. Thank you, KO, she said, smiling. When KO opened his eyes, his expression changing from sadness to shock. Why did you leave? At that moment, KO felt everything around him disappear and he cried out loud. He heard calling his name. Ah, KO. Yes! Hi, Mister stepped back, trying to shake off his fear. Okay, wake up! He pressed harder this time, but suddenly exploded with a loud bang. Petri Perrycore. His hands glowed blue and were ready for combat. Hey, KO, shut up! KO Coward asked him behind quickly. It's just us. The G-Men? KO looked at them. Eyes wide, her gaze fell on the man's hand, and she felt him press into it. Her heart skipped a beat. She quickly raised her hand and shook her head, trying to shake off the nightmare. Are you okay, KO? Her father asked. I heard her crying earlier, so I came to see what was going on. She was panicking when I got there, so I knew I had to wake her. Teo covered his eyes with both hands and blinked several times, still lost in thought. He didn't know why he was dreaming. It had been a long time since he'd had a nightmare. Her chest tightened, and she desperately resisted the dream's return. She didn't want it to come back. She had been plagued by nightmares for so long, and she didn't want it to come back. She finally realized that she couldn't escape the nightmares or her life. This was his life now, and she had known it for a long time. But still, it was hard to accept. No matter what else was going on, it was painful to feel everything go black every time she sensed it. Hey, KO, is there something bothering you? Crumply asked, clearing his throat. If there's anything bothering us, you can tell us, okay? Oh, nothing, he replied. There's nothing to worry about. It was just a little dream. Remembering Dandy's words made her mouth go dry, and she smiled. Something reassured and encouraged him, but she couldn't put her finger on what it was. Oh, you seem hungry, Crumply said. You haven't eaten in a while, KO. You should eat again. What? No way. KO shook her head. The food doesn't go away that quickly, and the people who were supposed to eat before me took even longer. We can't, Pope said. Well, we're a little older than you. You're young and little. Come on, let's go. She took a deep breath. Okay, but if we're late for dinner, it'll be your fault, KO said, a little annoyed. Potato smiled and laughed a little. KO, something edible is ready. Wow. It's been 3 weeks already. Um, Voice of Knowledge, aka the I don't know, insert a Fount of Knowledge reference here. But I am fucking tired, bro. Anyway, it's been an hour and a half already. We're just kind of vibing here at this point. Um, Kale knelt down as if Crumply wanted to do something for her. She couldn't understand why Coworth had cared about her for so long, yet Crumply was still so angry after he'd left her. She sighed and looked down at the pillow she was covering herself with. The man remembered when he'd gotten it and how happy he'd been. There was something special about this animal. Anyone could record its voice and turn it into a song with the following lines. Kale looked at the device before leaving inside. His eyes lit up slightly when he saw it, and he wanted to push the bear away, knowing what it would say if it saw it. She heard a noise and rolled onto her back to avoid falling to the ground. She hadn't expected it, but she heard it. Something struck him when he heard a bear voice he'd never heard before. KO, you're the best. He slapped it again and sang the song again. Calm down. Remember that Mommy loves you always, no matter what. She looked at him again and gave him a small smile. I heard a pattern, and it continued one last time. Mommy will always be there for you, no matter what. I love you. Tears welled up in Wang Keo's eyes, and he tried to hold them back. There was something about her eyes, especially her high-pitched voice, that made him want to cry. Because even though her mother had said everything was okay, she wasn't, and no one cared. No one asked her what she was doing, where she was going, or where she was. She sighed, wiped her tears, and leaned her head back on the bed. Yeah, no. Fun fact, I made this shirt myself. I made this shirt myself, and I liked the shirt so much that I made it my Sona's outfit. And I don't know if you know about my old Sona's outfit, but I had like a pink shirt I had a pink shirt, Sona outfit too, and I actually have that shirt in here too. So my old Sona outfit, where is it? it this one? Is it this one? Is it this one? Yes, it is this one. Okay. So my old Sona outfit used to be this pink shirt that I have, and I still can, and I still do. Like my Sona can still be drawn with this outfit. It's just kind of like secrety. Like if you know the outfit, you could draw them with it. But so this used to be my old Sona shirt outfit. So if you actually go through my old Sona references, you will find this shirt that was used, and this used to be my Sona's outfit. And then I made this shirt myself, and then I vibed with it so much because it gave me so much gender euphoria that this became my new Sona outfit. Yeah. So fun lore drop, actually. I think if you on my main YouTube channel, if you go through my old videos, you can find my old Sona outfit, which is the pink shirt heart. You can actually see it in a lot of my old art here. I have not worn this shirt in so long, and I don't think I could anymore because it's like, I don't know, man. It's from a bygone era, you know? If I can get this thing on the painter again. I say it's from a bygone era, as if I'm not logging into a decade-old account over here. To be fair, my main YouTube channel is also like 10 years old, but like, a different kind of decade old, you know? Anyway, reading time. Where did I start? Where did I stop? Okay. Anyway, she sighed, wiped her tears, and leaned her head back on the bed. After a while, Clumply came over and gave him a bowl of fries. Haha, I know they're bad, but I decided to keep looking, he said with a smile. Thanks, Dad, Ko said, putting the bowl on his lap and starting to eat. The mashed potatoes were sweet and sour, but the sauce for the mashed potatoes was a little sweet. After he'd finished eating, he got up and got out of the water and had a bath. Crumple dug a small hole under the dirty soil to store water, which would then run off when it rained. He also built dams around the forest to prevent the water from draining into the ground and going to waste. When we travel in the summer, we have to save water, Ko said. I have a water bottle, but I can't use it. Water doesn't last long. I used to drain the water from fruits like potatoes, and they didn't last long, even when they were dry. Yeah, that's right, Mateo nodded. A few days ago, Coworth and I went outside to play while he was sleeping. The trash can was full of water, and we could only bring back one or two plastic bottles. Kale didn't know what to do, so he turned back to the woman. Who are you? He asked, shocked by the woman's actions. Did you know I could catch you? Why did you do this? You always risk your life to save us, so we thought we'd do the same for you, the man replied. Yeah, we're trying to make up for the lost time by getting some food. Ko, if he'd just looked, he wouldn't have had known it was you. He was surprised that the woman seemed surprised, but she was genuinely surprised. She liked being with friends, and she didn't know what to do without them. He didn't think about it. Do I have water in here, bro? My throat is. Oh my god, I have my water right in front of my face here. 1 second. Tangent for a minute. My own streams on this channel, like, if you look at that, I think it's the first really long live stream. On this one, if you like scroll through it a little bit, you'll be able to find me chugging soda from a giant soda bottle, like I think a bit more than a 2 liter. And I'm sitting here like, I can't believe I used to drink that much soda, man. I am so tired, but I will live. I'm just work was a long day today. And tomorrow I'm the only guy working, so up front. So anyway, this next chapter title is My Birthday is in June, which is really funny because I'm pretty sure Ko's canonical birthday is in June. Actually, no, it might be in July. It's either June or July, but that's still really fucking funny. Anyway, I don't know how she made friends like Ko, Coworth, and Crumply. They always helped her and looked after her, and she had nothing but gratitude and admiration for them. What did I do to deserve friends like you? He asked with a smile. You two have to be good friends with me, and I have to be good friends with you. Ko, that's a lie, Crumply replied. Yes, you did it all, because you're the boss, he said with a smile. I'm sure Crumply would have been pleased. A small piece of paper landed at the door, and the room fell silent for a moment. What's this? He asked, looking at Colworth standing next to him. He shrugged and picked up the book. Crumply and Ko looked surprised, as if they were seeing the book for the first time. It looks like a book, he said, looking at the floor to make sure there were no dead people inside. Ah, yes, my favorite hobby is making sure there are no dead people inside a book. How did it get in through the door, Ko? Colworthy's father said, staring at the letter in Colworthy's hands. He was at a loss as to who had sent it or how it had gotten there. I don't know, Colonel Smith said, but do you think we should open it? Look, Dad asked, because we're a country where terrorists are arrested and where terrorists send suicidal letters. What's this translate from? Sorry. Okay. There was a moment of silence. Then Kao's voice was heard. But then the situation changed. Open it, he said quickly. I want to read it. Wait, Potatoes asked, smiling at Ko. How about a joke? Ko lowered his gaze thoughtfully. He wanted to try, but he didn't know if it was a joke or serious. He took a deep breath, trying to think of what to do. He'll have to wake up, but I'll come down and open it in 2 weeks, Colworthy said. I know it's a bad idea, but I wanted to be part of it. It's not so bad, Ko said. Not the best idea, but not the worst. It looks like we can do something, Potato. Right? I think so, he said. But if it's a trap, you'll pay for it when you die. Ko. He shook his head and placed the letter on their desk. The Potatoes had also placed stones inside the letter to stop it from failing. Well, we'll have to wait another week, Colworth said. Looks like we'll have to watch the sunrise and put the sun somewhere. Oh, right, Ko said, sitting at a small tattered notebook. He bought it for me. Let's play. He opened it with the flourish and placed his hand on the paper. It was beautiful, despite some faded spots on the top and cover. He took he took a rough but still usable pencil and wrote the time on the paper. It was 3:37 p.m., but it was definitely noon. They didn't send him much information, but he knew the time of day and the weather by knowing when the sun rose and set. If the sun is shining, the mornings and evenings would be warm and humid. It was an easy way to tell the time, and given the time of day and the changing seasons around them, this rhythm would also help him know when the week started. It's not fair that those terrorists are living a comfortable life on Earth, that we suffer because we can't be here, Coldworthy said. I mean, it's not like they know that our heroes are suffering. They don't really care. It's not fair. Not at all, Kaya replied, closing the page just in time. But unfortunately, that's life. Before the colonists took over, many people lived that way, serving their country. Cowards and Potatoes looked at each other as Ko said this, because that's how it had been before all of this, and he was afraid to hear it. All right. And this next one is I said the same thing. Ko was breathing. Now he remembered the past. He remembered when he tricked the shadows, and when he remembered TKO, and when he destroyed the bar. It was one of the many events she'd wished she'd forgotten, and it made her shudder every time she thought about it. And then he remembered TKO. He spoke to KO, yelling at him to bring TKO back to life. KO, his target, remains a mystery. He ran away after his divorce and hasn't been seen since. Listening to TKO, he lived for what he was doing, even if it drove him crazy. He knew if TKO was still alive. If he was with the killers. If not, he was gone. She'd gone crazy while pregnant. Coworth and Crumpley had quickly realized how much it had bothered him when KO was expelled. Come to think of it, he didn't laugh much. When he did, it was amazing. Ouch! Crumpley cried, running towards her. Oh, that's crazy! He paced back and forth, trying to figure out what to do. KO stared at his face, his expression as he walked. It's okay, son, he said with a smile. I'm just a little tired. Before Crumpley noticed, she grabbed his. Okay, so I need to clarify that the original sentence here is she grabbed his face with their hands, like like when people like grab your face with your hands like this. That was the original sentence. The original sentence was she grabbed his face with her hands. That was the original sentence. But I want you to know that for some reason that translated to she grabbed his penis and slammed it into his face. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that translation happened. I don't know how that translation happened. Because the original sentence was she grabbed his face with her hands. And then it translated to that after like the whole Google Translate thing. I don't know why. I don't know how that happens. And I'm not gonna stick on that anymore because but that just don't ask me how that translation happens because I do not know how it got that from that. I do not know what thing got lost in translation there, but I that's my exact face. We won't talk about that anymore. But I just wanted to say that before I read that sentence because when I did because I did kind of skim through some of this before and I managed to see that one and I was like, what the fuck is that? So I just wanted to clarify that before I read that sentence that I don't know how that translation happened. Anyway, moving on past that. No, I'm evil, she said quietly. I have to heal you. Crumply ignored him and ran forward as far as KO could see. He immediately flaked his limbs, making enough noise to knock him unconscious. He noticed her disheveled, disgusted state, and how she was screaming and acting like an animal, mistakenly believing that he had eaten her rainbow soul. Despite his lack of confidence, KO promptly realized what he had done with a smile crossed his face. Then he stopped moving and knocked him out. He smiled and happily got to work on the task at hand. Are you okay now, Cyclops? Crumply smiled, turned to a grin as he prepared. The girl looked at him, smiled, and tried to relax. He continued laughing for a while, then his throat hurt, and he couldn't laugh anymore. Ha ha! I guess, he said, smiling as he rose from the ground. You were so kind to me. Well done, Potato. He smiled slightly and looked at Coworthy, who was standing there. Hey, don't worry, she said, smiling. I'd love to do this again. He's probably not okay, said Callworthy, who had knocked him out and was still standing beside him. I knocked him out last time. He landed 10 feet away and the wind hit him, which caused him quite a lot of trouble. Yeah, I guess, my father said. Hey, what was it like back then, when demons didn't rule the world and everyone lived in peace? Potato sighed, remembering the good old days. Really? Potato asked, looking around and remembering his other friends. He asked Enid and Lad what happened to them, what they were doing, and if they were still alive. He had always worried about them and wanted to protect them. No matter what Enid and Lad said about her, the same couldn't be said for her mother and Dandy. He knew he talked to them a lot, and that they had been through some tough times, but he was important to her. The baby in her arms was the last memory she had of her mother, and she knew she had to keep her baby safe. When he were reunited with his mother, he noticed she wasn't as angry as she used to be. She always was. But deep down, he knew the world had changed and he'd never see his mother again. Even if he were still alive, he would have been killed long ago. He broke the silence with a laugh. I think you're right, Colworthy said, looking down at the floor. We're not all from the past. He'd seemed crumply and KO, small, but they'd even see the world, even the past. So I have one more chapter that I translated because I didn't actually finish translating this book. I think so. No, there's two more chapters that I translated. So after I read these fun little translated bits, is there anything else that you want me to read? Do you want me to read any of my old stories, perhaps even? Like, because I mean, I have like I have a bunch of old Wattpad accounts with like 8 chapter stories that are pretty freaking bad or something. I don't know. I think reading can be a little fun. You just kind of vibe. Um. Anyway, I'll. Okay, I will eat. I will eat. I will. I will eat. But what was I gonna say? I will eat after this. Don't you worry. I'm just wondering if you want me to read anything else because it's kind of a fun vibe, you know. It's like a little fun, silly vibe, you know. I am so fucking tired, bro. It's fine. Um, we're about to exceed the length of the longest one on this channel, which like I still don't know how 8-year-old me was it. I was 10. I was 10 when I made those old ones. I think I was 10. You should sleep. You should sleep. I am rubbing my hand and sleep blasting you right now. Um, because I can stop reading this. I mean, there's not that much more to go anyway. But you, hi, not tired. I'm Shadow Milk Cookie. How you doing? God, bro. Um, okay, let's see here. A 3-hour nap. Okay. I am tired for some reason. Uh, Let me see if I can find anything else on Google Docs real quick. Uh, I'm trying to find something. Before you go, have you ever heard The Hole? Did I ever tell you about The Hole? Are you down to hear me read some pretty messed up writing? Some torture, maybe? That is a hilarious sentence out of context. The Hole. Have I told you about The Hole? Do you want to hear some? Okay. So this is actually written. So this is what I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to probably head off. But so The Hole. This is not finished, but it was in 2022 when The Hole was just first starting. Okay. So I'm going to read this, and then I'm going to stop. So this is like an actual serious thing, not like a heavily Google translated thing. Okay. So the Google Doc name is literally just the eye emoji. Okay. Are you ready? Are you ready for torture? Okay. TK0 mumbles under his breath as he heads towards the hole he dug out just a few weeks prior. A putrid stench that he chooses to ignore comes from a few stray piles of human waste in the opposite corner of where KO currently resides. Disgusting, he mutters, shaking his head and rolling his eyes as he slides down to the dirt below. KO doesn't seem to notice him right away. He's attempting to climb outside by desperately clinging onto the dirt wall as best as he can manage with only one arm and leg. His body trembles and shakes as he moves his foot upward and onto the top of the rock, poking out of the side, and he breathes out a sigh of relief upon not stumbling and falling back down like he had done frequently for the past half hour. Sucking in a breath, he goes to move again and trying his best to focus. If he manages to keep going, then maybe, just maybe, he can. An aggressive tug on his leg sends a sudden jolt of pain through his body, and he cries out as he collapses back onto the dirt. Ow, ow, ow. He winces and bites his lip, sucking in a harsh, sudden breath as a still fresh injury from a mere 2 days ago throbs and aches. Ugh, TKO groans. Stop being a baby. TKZ's voice causes KO to flinch back in fear. The former laughs. God, you're pathetic. He snorts, clenching his hand in and out a few times and preparing to grab KO again in case of another escape attempt. His preparations appear to be useful as he watches KO as he scoots himself back over to the wall and presses his hands into the dirt. Please leave him alone, he pleads, clenching up a fistful of dirt while he waits for the pain to pass. No. KO whines under his breath at the response, but ultimately chooses to ignore it as he pushes himself up to stand. The attempt shows to be useless, however, as he gets pulled back down to the ground again, this time yelling out in both distress and annoyance as well as from the pain. Can you stop? TK0 huffs. It's getting annoying. You're getting annoying, he snaps back. TKO's tone laces his voice as he wheezes out a snort. You keep on pulling me back down here. So? KO gasps for breath, bewildered in his chest, and stumbles over his words. What's so? I don't want to be here. Tears spill out and stream down his cheeks, and he punches at the ground, sending a few stray bugs and worms wiggling back underneath. I want to go home. Too bad. TK0 approaches KO and grabs his wrist. Immediately, the latter becomes panicked and tries to pull away, to no avail. The former snorts, which is followed by an irritated, "This is your home now." He tightens his grip and jerks KO towards him, grasping onto the sides of his face as hard as he can with his other hand. Pure raw hatred fills every ounce of his expression as he leans in close. I'm not letting you leave, Stabby, he hisses. I'm not! Shut up! TKO squeezes KO's face hard enough to make it pop. KO chokes on a sob, and any other process he's about to make are lost as he gets tossed into the dirt. The strangled, wheezy grunt leads to a coughing fit, and TK0 shakes with anger, watching him with clenched fists that form into cannons. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! But I said shut up! A sudden loss of energy sends dirt and dust flying upwards, and KO throws his arm in front of himself defensively, trembling and ears ringing. Message is deleted? Okay. He doesn't dare move or speak or do anything close to making any form of noise in any way, shape, or form because God knows what's going to happen if he even doesn't much as breathe. I'm getting tired of you. The ringing subsides, and Kale lowers his arm just enough to get a glimpse of TK0 as he shows over, eyeing him warily as the cannons form back into hands. I did see the message that you sent. I will respond to that after I'm done. All the screaming, the crying, the fact you keep trying to escape. TK0 stops in front of him and kneels down to his height, spinning his wrists around a few times while clenching his fists in and out. I hate it. I hate you. His expression twists and contorts into a smile as a statically laugh crackles and tears through his throat. And you're never getting out of this hole. KO moves his arm to cover his ears, as best as he can with only one, anyway, and clenches his eyes shut as the laughter fades out into an unnerving silence. A few clicks and whirs coming from TK0's fan cause him to flinch again, which is responded by a flat, "Look at me." A headshake is all the robot gets in response, and purple sparks fly off his person as he snarls and reaches forward to grab KO's face again. "Stop," he wheezes. A scream gets caught in his throat as his jaw crackles and pops, and TK0 repeats himself with a harsh, wheezy-like breath of his own. "Look at me." A loud static-filled beep replaces whatever he was going to say. Replaces whatever it was that he was going to say, and KO clenches his eyes shut even tighter as he struggles to cover his ears. The beeping draws itself out as he gets replaced by an ear-piercing static as TK0 yells as loud as his voice box will let him. "I said look at me!" KO yells as the noise rings through his head, and TK0 screams back even louder, taking his free hand and starting to pry it into the corner of KO's left eye. "Shut up!" Like, if my dad wasn't here, I would probably go all out here and like actually scream what he was saying. But I don't want to make my dad come into my room and like say what the heck is going on. So I would get more into this if my dad wasn't here. Immediately on instinct, his eyes shoot open, and he begins to try and push and punch TK0 away from him in a frantic panic. Another round of static-filled laughter echoes through his ears, and he begins to hyperventilate as more pressure gets put against his eye. "No, no, 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 no! Stop, stop, stop!" An ear-piercing scream tears through what feels like his entire body as TK0 digs into his eye. "Stop, stop, 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 stop! No!" TK0 digs deeper into the eye socket with as much force as he can, and KO's punching and kicking becomes more and more erratic and frantic as the vision on his left side goes blurry and dark, and he isn't stopping. Why isn't he stopping? It hurts so much. Please make it stop. It hurts so much. Stop screaming. KO's head gets jerked forward as TK0 reels back, and he screams even louder as indescribably inhumane rush of pain and agony surges through him. His eye pops and cracks as it's twisted out of place, and he begs and pleads and sobs for mercy, but it doesn't come as calm. It burns. An inch static-filled laughter mixes in with the screams, both of which have been going on nonstop since this has started, and TK0 tightens his grip on the eye. "You deserve this, you little..." Another loud, long line of static-filled beeps rings through KO's already pounding, aching, burning head and body, and I caught his eye. Why his eye? Why? His head steps back into the wall of dirt behind him, and he screams comes to a halt as he gasps and wheezes for breath. TK0 is now slightly less than his laughter gets drowned out by the loud ringing in his ears, and he sits there unmoving. "You..." He coughs dryly, and a rush of pain, burning, agonizingly numbing pain, shoots through his head and down to his shoulder, and he cries out, voice hoarse. "Ow!" TK0's laugh fades into a jumbled hum of static, and he falls silent. His smile wavers and shifts into an irritated frown as KO whimpers and whines, and he steps back, watching. "You're weak," he scoffs, voice fairly coherent through the mass amounts of static layered over it. "Get up and stop crying." The fan inside of him clicks as it turns and shifts the direction of airflow, and he grumbles something under his breath as the remaining static in his voice dies out. KO doesn't budge, and TK0 squeezes the eye as he spins his wrist around. "You..." KO heaves and wheezes, hardly able to see TK0 through his blurred vision. His expression twists and contorts into a cringe of agony as tears and blood spill out from the missing socket and rush down his cheeks, and he bites back the urge to break up into another screaming fit. The world spins and dances around him, distorting what little eyesight he has left as he tries to focus on the person in front of him, finding minimal success. Tears clog most of what he can see, and hazy spots plastered in the edges of his eyes make it hard to tell what's next to him. He sinks to the ground, slouching up against the dirt behind him, and closes his eyes, before immediately shooting them open again when another spike of pain radiates off his skull. "What?" TKO practically mocks him with his tone, tilting his head with a childish, "Are you scared? You you took you took my yeah, I took your eye." He glances down at the eye for a moment, hums, and looks back up KO with a sickeningly satisfactory grin. "It's squishy," he says, giving it a gentle squeeze, like a stress ball. The action and sound accompanying it sends a churn through KO's stomach as he covers his mouth with a wheezy heave. "Stop," he chokes, forcing down the bio budding in the back of his throat. "You can't, you're not you." "Yes, I can. I just did. What are you gonna do? Go cry to your mom?" He squeezes again and moves it to his other hand as a few squirts of liquid spray out from the back. Coyote heaves and gasps again, and his stomach groans with an ached, pain, disgusted churn. Cough. Why? What? Are you hungry? TKZ would tilt his head again to the other side, watching KO as his movements come to an immediate halt. A moment of unnerving silence lingered between the two, and KO pushes himself up, no longer slouching, with a frantic head shake. No, 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 I'm not. He clenches his stomach as another ache twists and turns inside of him, and he heaves again. I am not hungry. Don't lie to me. I'm not. A scream catches in his throat as TK0 grabs his face again, making no effort to be any more gentle than he was last time. Don't lie to me, he hisses, a vague hint of static in his tone. You always whine and cry about it. You're constantly begging me every day to bring you food. He yanks KO forward and then reels back with a snarl, before tossing him into the dirt wall as hard as he can. A loud thud follows as the latter sinks back to the ground and gasps for breath that never seems to come. The already throbbing, agonizingly painful headache that he's experiencing flares up upon contact, and suddenly it feels like a million tiny knives are being dipped into lava as they're shoved deep into his skin. His body trembles violently, and TK0 watches him with narrowed eyes and heavy breaths, waiting and calculating. I don't care if you don't want it. TK0 snarls. He squishes and squeezes the eye as he shoves it directly in front of KO's face and squeezes it against his cheek. Ignoring the increasing hyperventilation and quiet pleas of protest, he grasps onto Kale's jaw and attempts to pry it open. Hale shakes his head and smacks the hand away, but it does little good, as it only encourages the bot to keep on trying. You're hungry, he snaps, and you're going to eat it. You don't have a choice. Panic begins to build up in Kale's chest, and he smacks at Tikizuko's hand again, which is followed by another that leads to a panic frenzy of smacks that go more and more erratic as the eye gets dragged along his cheek and closer to his pried open jaw. Bile builds up in the back of his throat, and the eye gets pressed up against his mouth, and he coughs, finds it increasingly harder to breathe. Cobb, what is he doing? Cobb, no, 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 not again. Stop, 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 stop it, stop! A disgruntled choke of absolute raw, pure, and mortified disgust comes out in place of a scream as Tikizero shoves the eye into his mouth and he immediately heaves. His throat burns and he lurches forward, heaving again and again, with each one leaving more bile behind than the last. It's clear that his body is trying to make him throw up, and Tiki Zero retaliates by shoving his hand all the way into his mouth and pushing the eye back up against the back of his throat. Kaya gasps for breath, unable to breathe as the claw enters the eye. His eye blocks his airway, and a burning sensation blooms across his chest. For once, the struggle gets noticed enough for the torment to be stopped, and Tiki Zero yanks his hand away, still leaving the eye behind. This is immediately followed by KO breaking into another fit of dry heaves and gags as he pushes it away from the back of his throat and attempts to spit it out. Don't hecking move! Tikazero wraps his hand around KO's mouth and forces it shut, and to stay shut. A shock sound bubbles in the back of his throat as the eye gets pushed back into place. Any attempts at speaking are but grunts, groans, and whines, and the twisted grin from earlier keeps back onto the robot's face as he relishes in the moment. It's clear that he's angry, yet somehow, within that anger, there's a sickening amount of joy and satisfaction that comes out of every time he speaks. You bastard, he laughs, squishing KO's cheek with his free hand in an attempt to maneuver the eye around his mouth. You hecking bastard. The laugh twists into a snarl, and he moves the hand, clenching KO's mouth to the bottom of his jaw, making sure to be as aggressive as possible as he forces him to bite down. His previous attempts his previous train of thought gets lost as Chaos attempts to fight him off again, and he rolls his eyes in annoyance as he tries to get the eye to burst. Bite it, he snarls, or I'm going to make you. The built-up bio gets forced to the front of his mouth, and KO makes some more distressed, choked garbles in protest, and his already messed up vision distorts as the intense panic rushing through him spikes in extremity. His heart pounds out of his chest, and a sudden rush of what can be described as none other than absolute agony spreads and spikes all the way through his entire body, and he struggles to not scream through all of the pain. Surely by now, surely he would have passed out, but for some God-forsaken reason, his body continues to fight to keep him conscious. Maybe it's the object lodged in the back of his throat that keeps on being pushed around like some kind of toy in some kind of sick, revolting game. Is that what this is to him? Does Tinky Zero think this is a game? Thoughts bounce around and bust through KO's mind too fast and too jumbled to make any sense of, and he lays there, helpless. Bite it. KO shakes his head and Tikizero grips his jaw tighter, forcing him to bite down with as much momentum as he can. The eye, somehow still whole and intact, rolls around in his mouth, and his choked pleas go unnoticed as his teeth violently smack against each other. His mouth vibrates from the intensity, and a new kind of pain overtakes him. A sharp toothache shoots from the back of his mouth and wraps around his head, and he squirms around in pain under Tikizero's grasp. A low ringing works its way into his ears, and it grows louder the longer his mouth is clenched shut. His body grows numb and tingly as the pain coursing through him begins to subside into nothing more than a dull ache. God dang it! TK0 forces them out to bite down a few more times with little success. The object inside bounces around like a basketball, squishy and leaking out juices, but never properly bursting. He releases KO mouth long enough for him to breathe, which he does, and the numbness he previously felt quickly shifts back into pain as he gasps, wheezes, and coughs. Saliva and bile drip from the kid's mouth as he heaves out harsh breaths, but any attempts to once again push out the eye resort to being futile as his mouth gets clenched shut again. A few cracks of static sizzle from TK0's harsh voice. I said he forces the jaw to bite down again. Bite it! And this time something pops. KO's eyes shoot open and he screams out a muffled scream as juices and blood fill up his mouth like the liquid from a cherry tomato. And then I stopped there and I never finished it. But yes, forced cannibalism. We love forced cannibalism. And before I stop this, I do want to make a comment about your whole comment. So the whole actually has lore behind it, and TK0 is not doing this for no reason. So none of my guys would ever do the whole because the whole is actually one of Alex's guys, and Alex is one of IREP's cismates. So I mean, I miss Alex. I mean, Alex is my little zucchini. But anyway, that's besides the point. So there's a lot of lore behind why the whole happens and stuff. So realistically, I mean, none of my guys would do the whole, but God, I am so tired. I hope you had fun though. I hope you had fun. I'm definitely gonna end this here so I can go eat food. Maybe they should hire me to be like I don't know, like a fucking what's the audiobook reader? I'm joking, but sometimes you really get into character, like the shadow milk cookie side is really showing through here when it comes to reading. God, I'm starving. I'm gonna go eat. Thank you for vibing, and I'm never going to log into this kind again. Kitty, I love the kitty. Say hi to the kitty for me. But I'm never logging into this account again, and I'm never gonna do this again. But I thought this was gonna be a really funny bit. So yeah, bye gamer. I will see you in the Cookie Run Kingdom Discord server. If it lets me click.